Hi, welcome back. So in this session of today's session, I'm actually joined by Joseph from Klika Tech. You guys already know me. I'll just give a quick intro myself. I'm Syed. I'm a senior developer advocate. Joseph, tell us a bit about yourself.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for having me here today. So I'd like to welcome the audience to the AWS Device Defender Framework IoT Solutions presentation at the IoT streaming event here at the Embedded World event in Nuremberg. I'm Joseph Zaloker. I'm head of business development and global alliances at Klika Tech. Klika Tech is an advanced consulting partner. We focus on IoT, big data and analytics, and DevOps.
Yep.
And today we'll be talking about how people and how our customers can actually use Device Defender, right? And the framework that's been developed to validate IoT devices, to provide really reliable and secure connectivity with AWS IoT Core before you put those devices into production.
Yeah.
So Klika Tech, we are roughly a 300-person team of mainly 95% all developers. Our primary objective when we work with our customers is really to aid clients in terms of how they integrate technology to solve their business objectives. The team really possesses a lot of the capabilities, the experience, as required of an AWS consultancy partner to comprehend our customers' business requirements. We love to co-create with our customers in terms of that, working with them alongside to really find what it is that they can bring out the best. Think about it as, have you thought of, have you considered, what is the art of possible, and really help them deploy this, very, very simply and efficiently. And, our areas of expertise are both cloud and embedded, which puts us in a very, very unique category of partners to be able to understand everything from the firmware and up to the cloud. But at the end of the day, we are working with our clients and other partners as well to design market-ready products and solutions.
So you are actually, as a Klika Tech as a company, you are actually advanced consulting partner with AWS.
Yes,
right?
yes. And as you know, right, there's a lot of requirements and certifications and customer case studies that you have to demonstrate as far as evidence of validation to really earn that. So it's a program that we really like, and I think that our end customers really appreciate the program because they know when they're looking at partners, they do have the chops to be able to do this work.
So that's actually quite good. So, you work with customers, you work with a lot of AWS customers, we know that. So what are some of the challenges do you actually see customer experience building connected products?
Yeah, so one of the biggest things that we actually do see is how to actually, when customers embark on this, how do they actually build and deploy edge devices that can operate reliably connected to the AWS, core cloud. And what we'll see many times is we have worked with customers who have created embedded products before. They know how to build those. Yeah. Now we're talking about this whole new thing about getting it securely connected to a myriad of different network topologies and protocols.
Yeah.
As well as all the other elements, back end, front end, et cetera, et cetera. So it is very, very difficult to make sure that, when you build this, you can actually deploy it and maintain constant connections. And customers really struggle because this is very much out of their expertise. Right? Yeah. The other thing, too, with IoT, and I always kind of use the expression, is that in IoT, there is no Angry Birds application. And what I mean by that is there's no big lump. IoT is a long tail sort of a thing. And the thing is that with that, the challenges that rise is like, if we were to talk to people here on the floor, which hardware, which operating system are you using? Well, I may have Intel architecture, I may have ARM, I may have, so there's all these choices and all these protocols and stuff. So to get like IoT devices connected, there's a lot of effort that goes into that edge to really make that happen, right? Yeah. And it's not like, I just pick one thing, Ethernet, it's a standard and it works, because it's not like that.
Yeah, exactly.
When we look at the cost of development, cost of software development costs going over and over again, whereas historically customers may only have worked on a non-connected product, embedded based. Now they have all this other stuff they have to do, securely connect to the cloud, make sure everything's working. There's a lot more testing. So the software development, the software test, and making sure these things operate in all these environments makes it extremely more challenging, but also more costly. So we got to look at ways to help customers kind of reduce some of the cost of development. And then, of course, post-maintenance, we all know that with connected products, as we create new solutions, as we create new customer experiences, features, et cetera, we do want to push those out to the field and onto those devices to give the customers a new experience. So now we have more maintenance costs post-deployment. So these are some of the things that we're working with our customers to not only educate them about if you're building a connected product, the things they need to consider. And then as part of that, what are some of the tools that AWS provides, like Device Advisor, test framework, to really help with that.
Awesome. So basically, we know what AWS Device Advisor is, right? AWS IoT Device Advisor. You know that. For our viewers out there, our watchers out there, our audience out there, tell us a bit about AWS IoT Device Advisor.
Sure. So, like many of the services that AWS builds and provides, right, it is cloud-based, fully managed test framework, which is primarily used for basically helping in terms of verifying software development and deployment on IoT level devices, right? Is how do we make sure that when this device is done and the firmware is done, that it can connect, it can do the encryption, it can do the certificate management, all that stuff is done, which is actually, it's undifferentiated lifting, but it's actually hard if you've never done this before.
Yeah.
The beautiful thing about Device Advisor is AWS has provided a whole suite of pre-built tests. Yeah. You don't have to create these yourself. You don't have to go to a QA automation engineer and say, hey, I need you to create these tests, and you hope that they wrote them right. Device Advisor really provides these pre-built tests so you can validate these IoT devices, right? So you've got this reliable and this secure connectivity, with core before you deploy to device, before you deploy to production.
Right.
Device developers can test and validate any device built to connect on AWS. As we spoke earlier, right, within the Internet of Things, there is no one process or one operating system. So with all the permutations out there, it is amazing that there's this tool that really doesn't care about your hardware. It really doesn't care about your operating system. It has the pre-built test to help you get your stuff done.
Right.
And again, it's the best practices, like we talked a little earlier, making sure your TLS 1.2 encryption is done right. As you're talking over MQTT, as you're doing your certificate management, these are some of the things that, again, if you're not comfortable with or haven't designed with before, this will give you the confidence that what you have created and built can be tested and you can validate. And what you've done is really, best in class.
Exactly.
It's a huge, huge time saver.
Exactly. So, we know, and for our audiences, again, purposes, that what are the general OS operating system requirement, hardware requirement when they're trying to use AWS IoT Device Advisor.
So, give you an example. So, we are here at the AWS booth here at the show. If you're here, I believe we're in Hall 4, booth 550.
Yeah,
I hope I got that right. Please stop by. But we do have a demonstration here at the booth, and I think one of the best ways to describe this is, out here on the floor right now, we are showing 5 different hardware platforms and as many operating systems running. We have, for operating systems, we're running it on Linux, Ubuntu, Windows, FreeRTOS, and Raspbian, which is a operating system from Raspberry Pi. From the hardware perspective, we got a very, very nice high-end Lenovo, I think it's a ThinkCenter gateway running Intel architecture. We have a Raspberry Pi module. We have an ST Micro, MP1, and then a lower level microcontroller, Expressive ESP32. And again, it just covers the gamut of things. So depending upon what you're doing as a developer, the thing I like about what AWS does is it gives customer choices. You don't force them to say, oh, you must change to this to use this. The way the framework is created, it supports any hardware and any operating system. And that is just a huge, huge advantage.
Exactly. So we give you the option of building blocks to basically use a variety of options. As you mentioned, rightfully so, whether it's your flavor of choice is Linux, FreeRTOS, Windows, or Raspbian, you can go ahead with it. Whether it's your hardware of choice is a microcontroller or hardware of choice is a Raspberry Pi, you can obviously go ahead and go for it. So now let's switch us a gear. Can you tell us a scenario on how AWS Device Advisor can help customer in real life diagnose device issues?
Sure. So that's a great thing. It really, when you really come down to the use case with respect to it. So let's just say, and again, I'm not going to get into anything specific or any very specific customer sort of things, but let's say we built a connected product right? And we want to move the information over a communication link, store it in the back end, move the information, and display it on Grafana, right? We want to create a very nice dashboard. So we get everything up and done, we get our code all written, we turn it on, and we're trying to get the code, and we see the hardware is running, but we look at our dashboard, and we don't see anything up there. It's like, okay, what's between there? There's a lot of things, right? It's the firmware, right? It's the Wi-Fi, it's this, and this. And one of the things that how Device Advisor would help is start to help it in terms of debug that sort of stuff. So what you would do then is to start that debugging process is you would create your test suite from the AWS Device Advisor console. Set up what you're doing in your specific solution, and then look to see which are the pre-built cases that I may want to take a look at.
Right.
So in this case, we think it should be pushing information. We don't know if it is. We're not seeing it in displayed. So we might run like, okay, let's check the security policies, right? Security device policies. And this just makes sure best practices are followed. The device does what's not included in the wildcard statements, et cetera, et cetera. Right. Okay, maybe that all looks good. Maybe we'll move to TLS Connect, right? And ensures that the device software meets all the requirements of TLS 1.2. And again, what's nice is, again, it's helping you verify that you're meeting the right standards without having to be an expert. The tool is undertaking a lot of that for you. So again, it helps with certificate, based mutual authentication. Again, these are all the things the tool does. And then maybe we go to MQTT publish, and there's a whole list of test cases. But again, for example, you can kind of see what the customer would do is they would fundamentally turn it on, get it set up, and then start to determine what tests that they may want to run, selecting by themselves which tests. Now, the beautiful thing about this as well is once the system runs and checks the hardware, it also creates error logs. So now the user can go in, click on the error logs, and do a real nice deep analysis in terms of what's provided. And I think it's beyond the scope of the conversation here to show you all of that information and hexadecimal information that would be in there. But at the end of the day, the built-in tool is in there to also say, okay, you ran these tests, these passed, these failed, this one failed, and here's the log. And it's, again, really nice to help developers lower the cost in terms of writing code, but also debugging it.
So that's actually a great point here. I mean, you can basically take those test cases, and whether you're building an MVP or whether you're building a real world device, you got to basically bootstrap your developers to use these test cases, as you mentioned rightfully so. You don't have to go out there and say, okay, you know what, I need to build these test cases to make sure I validate this is correct or not. You basically can use the device advisor and say, you know what, I got it connected, I want to basically validate it, and boom, you have a checklist to verify it's done, right? So that's great.
And one of the things along with that is we all know that customers, and you mentioned this, right? They may start out with a POC, a proof of concept, and then they may go to an MVP, like a minimal viable product, and then they may go to pre-production. The fact that you have these pre-built tests already done, as you migrate the hardware, as you change the firmware and all the stuff that you're doing, you can actually still run that same suite of tests over and over again without having to rewrite all that stuff.
Exactly.
And again, it's giving you confidence that the changes that you made and implemented are actually still very much in compliance. And again, you can focus on other things with your developers.
Awesome. So let's go with another question, right? I mean, we know the benefits of this using AWS IoT Device Advisor is pretty awesome. So, for the benefit of our viewers out there, how can they get started?
Yeah, so one thing, and maybe we can talk a little bit about, as we talk about, how to get started. I mean, we can kind of walk through that. One thing I was also going to say in terms of some of the other side benefits as far as, Device Advisor. I mean, really at the end of the day, this is going to provide developers with, these best practices for reliable connectivity using AWS IoT Core. It's just a few clicks. And really saving a lot of development time. I mean, again, it sounds somewhat, like, I'm not saying we're repeating ourselves, but I can't underscore the importance of having pre-built tests that can ensure this sort of compliance and the amount of time this saves. I mean, I know for us, Klika Tech, when we're working on customer problems and we have issues, we use these tools. And it saves immense time for our customers in terms of helping, in terms of diagnosing that. So, we talked about the detailed logs and all that stuff, enabling faster troubleshooting and all that. So these are all positive attributes, with respect to the service. So you did ask the question about how to get started, and again, I think AWS is best with with this sort of stuff, right? So basically you can test any devices we talked about. you can access the device advisor from the core console. So that's the simplest way is go to your AWS IoT console. You go to your device advisor, and then once you're ready, you configure your tests, you run it, you register your devices, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
And then again, customers, like we said, can pick and choose based on what they're saying, what tests that they want to run.
Right.
And it makes it very, very easy and seamless. Again, I don't have to write this. I don't have to create all this. It's all there for me. It's very menu driven. I can select, I can run, and very self-service.
That's great. So what are the costs? I mean, when we talked about our services and the developers are getting started to use this, let's surprise them.
Sure. Everybody likes something for free, right? Everybody loves something for free. So, and actually with Device Advisor, Core, there is no cost with respect to using the service. And again, I just think, AWS thinking about this, again, from a customer obsession perspective, right? How do we make customers more successful? Here's a service that they're offering to allow customers to really accelerate development, but also making sure that the customers use the more complicated services and features and functions appropriately and within guidelines and specs, right? So that they don't leave a security door open, they don't do a certificate problem or whatever else that will come back later on and cause additional problems.
Exactly. So I will take and proliferate exactly what you said. From AWS as a whole, we are focused on customer obsession, as you rightfully said, and we basically give building blocks for you to basically get started and go ahead and build the product which you want to go ahead and build it and get started with AWS IoT. So being free, giving you the capability to test it, verify it, and go to market. So we are coming towards the end of our session, and I would ask if you have any message to leave to our audiences out there, what would it be?
So I would say a couple of different things. One is, again, the tool is here. If you're creating a connected product using AWS IoT Core as an example for secure and simple communication to the cloud, use this tool. I don't care how seasoned or how experienced you are. I think this tool, again, as the teams continue to evolve it, there'll be more capabilities, more functionality, more testing. I mean, it just gives you peace of mind. So I would say no matter what, and even like I said, with us, as we develop connected products for customers, we always use these tools. It just again, peace of mind. You sleep good knowing that full well that you didn't leave a security door open or anything else for our customers. But on the other hand, right, not everybody necessarily wants to go ahead and do this themselves, right? And again, while AWS provides through the console a very easy way to do it, set it up, not everybody wants to go ahead and do it. You may be resource constrained, you may not have the confidence, or you're unsure about what this means. So that's where I think the AWS partner network and partners like Klika Tech can help. Where if you do want to go ahead and get this up and you're unsure, you can certainly contact us. We're happy to consult with our customers, help them set the test cases up, put all that together, show you how to run it, show you how to debug, and then the next time, when they build something new, they have all the right test cases. They've seen how to do it. They've seen how to access the logs. They should be able to do it on their own. But again, as a full service partner, as AWS, we're happy to help the customers, that quite frankly, are like, this is beyond us, and we would like somebody else to do it for us.
That's great. So, I mean, if you are here in Embedded World, Klika Tech is right here with the booth. They're demoing their logistic and tracking demo. So with that, we are towards our end of time. And I'm going to say thank you very much for watching our session. Watch out for next session where I will actually have a functional safety discussion. And till then, go and grab some coffee.
So awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks for having Klika Tech. Appreciate it. Thank you.